を開けて10回翻して100回翻して闇の中考えていたの花を持った私を持った滅んだものねえどうしてた私のことを忘れていた未来を想像して夢中になって夢中になって夢中になった出して近づいて抱きしめて死に添えて出して近づいて抱きしめて死に添えて出して近づいて抱きしめて死に添えて出して近づいて抱きしめて死に添えて
Yes, Pat Star. Woohoo. Apparently, they're on a commercial break, so I guess I'll play a round of Overwatch. Thought it started at 8:30. Commercial break is over in a minute. I'm also having refreshments. I'm watching Fox News's. I thought it started at 8:30. There's like posts everywhere saying it started at 8:30. Have some bread with butter. Beans. Water.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. Happy debate night to everyone watching. Thanks for being with us. Of course, as you know by now,
Happy debate night.
Live Now from Fox will be simulcasting the first presidential debate there on CNN, and we're doing this.
Yeah, the first presidential debate between Trump and Biden at all, because Biden just didn't show up last time.
I do myself as well. We have a live picture there
Was he?
inside of the spin room at Georgia Tech. We also have a gorgeous Live Now look there over the Atlanta skyline. Of course, you know Georgia is a battleground state. In the meantime, though, we do want to keep bringing in so many experts and analysts to help us make sense of what to expect tonight during this debate. We're going to do that right now with our friends, political analyst Brian Sobel and former Democratic Congresswoman Sherry Bustos.
Yeah, I'm not listening to nonsense. Audio's quiet. Yellow. Green is not a creative color. I cried a lot earlier. But, I think I'm all cried out for now. I'll just put it up there. No. Whatever. The debate is at 6. I mean 9.
Don't worry, I'll be right behind you.
Anna, may I still call you Captain?
Oh, Winston, that was a long time ago.
You'll always be Captain in my heart.
With each step, my burden lightens.
Yeah, they just have like 2 analysts talking on Fox, and it's like they're just
5, 4,
talking a lot of bullshit.
2, 1. Attack commences. Capture objective A.
Stay away at the
I don't know, focus heals on the monkey. I guess she didn't. They're still yapping about, like, nobody cares about commentators, Fox News. They could have brought, like, you know, reels from, what's it called? They could have had reels from last time Trump debated, like with Hillary. That was funny. I'm dead, yeah. I'm just dead there.
medical technology is truly extraordinary.
That's so awful, dude. Okay, let them burn ults. Let them burn ults. Okay, they burned 2 ults. I can do this. How? Behind you, Kree. Fuck, dude. Hey, monkey, everyone's dead.
My scales are still needed.
60 seconds remaining.
Don't run in.
Healing pylon deployed.
Torb up top. Let's push it, push. Get Ryan. He's half, Ryan's half.
Can I get some healing?
There we go. And they still have the same boring people talking about nothing. I mean, look at this guy. Do you really want this on your screen?
Else are just studied and looked at by people way more now than they have been in the past.
You know, and you can make the argument too, maybe you guys agree with me, that, you know, those moments the body language, the fixed stares.
Oh my god.
The body language, the
He
very
said the same
personal
thing
moments
twice.
are remembered in history rather than substantive policy points as well. If we can go back to 2012 between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, the comment by Barack Obama about Russia as a threat, I think everyone remembers that. But as far as policy is concerned, people remember the personal showbiz element.
Yeah,
moments to
that's
these
true.
debates.
That's why Biden's so boring.
Just referred to Brian. So if there's going to be a moment like that tonight, and we're gonna
Okay,
talk
Ryan's
about
low.
maybe till the next debate in September.
I can raise that.
After break,
Oh, never mind. I'm not going to.
thank you for getting
Because everyone's dead here.
Is that an element in the Biden campaign where
We
there's
baited
zero
2
showing
ults
after
out
the
of
polls
them.
over? Are there going to be moments like that?
You don't know what's going to happen over these 90 minutes, but a very strong performance will be important for President Biden. I know we've all read that he's been at Camp David, he's been preparing. I like how Donald Trump said he's out in a cabin, or, he's in a bunker, his description. And
I'm
even
sorry.
the Trump campaign trying to manage expectations and all of a sudden how they used to make fun of President Biden.
Suzu, they're right.
And now they're saying he's a good debater. They're trying to manage those expectations. But, I think that as we look at tonight, again, I see this as a performance that has to be very, very strong.
Yes, I'm okay, I guess. I cried a bit, but, it's
We'll throw out misstatements.
normal
We
at
will
this
see how
point.
the moderators handle that. I also have no doubt that President Biden is his sympathy and his empathy for Americans who struggle. I think that will come through strongly. And I
Moron.
think we can expect the questions that will be out there about abortion, about Roe versus Wade, about the economy, about crime, about the border, about will President
No,
Trump
you have to get on the point, Daria.
results of this election. I think if I were to throw out a question, what I would want to ask Donald Trump is, should Roe versus Wade be enshrined in law by the
Oh my
Congress
God,
and ban
seriously.
abortion nationwide? Will he sign that? Because it is a very sensitive issue right now, and I think that's a question that's fair, and I would love to hear the answer to that.
Even if they
So,
tried to,
Brian,
the Supreme Court would
talking
strike
about
it down.
issues as
Like,
well, how
what
much
the
do
fuck
you
do they
the
think?
2020 election will be front and center in this debate in 2024.
Dunker Queen?
I mean, if you're Jake Tapper and you're Dana Bash, do you have to ask about 2020? Do you have to ask about the January 6th Capitol riot or not? Brian?
Well, I think in 90 minutes, that has to come
It's
up at
obvious,
some point.
Trump. Unless CNN just, like,
Donald
decides...
Trump, has to answer, and his answer's on the record. And
I'll find my own path.
people are looking for what typically drives presidential elections, and that's
Magua
issues
would
of
be
the
good.
economy. Yes, immigration is going to be talked about, and abortion, and the fentanyl crisis, and crime in the cities, and homelessness, and over 90 minutes you're going to see a lot of these things talked about. But eventually, people always come back to the wallet. If you think about this, when George Herbert Walker Bush faced this little-known governor from Arkansas, nobody took on that race against Bush because he was so popular. Had a huge approval rating at that time. Clinton moved ahead, took him on. Remember, it's the economy. It was all about the economy. And so even though Bush had performed well as commander-in-chief in a military operation, people said, hey, I can't afford the groceries. And we're looking around the country, and that is an issue for people. So that's going to be a major factor. So I think President Biden has to answer the question, and he will, about the economy.
Will he now?
He's going to cite, and you're going to hear all kinds of metrics tonight, and he's going to cite the fact that the economy has been doing better in recent days because of, and he's going to say it's because of my administration, and Donald Trump's going to come back and say it's been a disaster. Probably
Here you go up top.
for 3 years.
She's playing DPS.
Back and forth, but people are going to be listening very closely to answers around the economy in particular, along with these other issues.
Sherry and Brian, aside from the incumbent question, which I think is really interesting, the last time these two men faced off in 2020 was late September, Biden didn't have a record. Trump was the only candidate that had a record. And now both of their records as president will be put against each other. So I thought that was really interesting as well here. But Sherry, you want to talk about some of the tawdry...
Yeah, we're just dead here.
Of the news cycle around some of these debates. You remember back in 2020, you know, there was allegations put out by the Trump camp that Biden was going to have an earpiece, that he was going to be taking performance-enhancing drugs. We still have that kind of same mini conversation around these debates going into tonight as well. So will civility come back tonight, or is it gone for good?
Oh gosh. You know, the cutting off of the mics when the other person is not speaking, I think is probably a pretty positive thing. Again, to be there in person and witness how Donald Trump was hovering over Hillary Clinton. I was there watching that in person and just in disbelief to be there in person and listen to Donald Trump just shouting over not just Joe Biden but also the moderator. So I think that's a blessing that will force some civility. But again, you know, we're 15 minutes off or so from the start of this, and I think by the end of those 90 minutes we'll have a little more clarity about this. But look, I think this is, if you have any interest in politics and in American government, this is must-watch TV tonight. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings are, but I am just very interested in seeing what comes out of this. Will it be civil? Will it not?
Yeah.
It's hard for a guy like
It would
Donald
be
Trump
really
to explain
boring if it
himself
was.
because he's not known one bit for his.
Okay, Brian, to that point though, the audience question. I'm curious, are you pro-audience or anti-audience? What are the benefits or disadvantages of either question? Where do you fall on the audience question?
Well, sometimes the audience
have an
question's
audience,
retarded.
You have the energy that's in the room.
I can
I've
say that.
debated many
I'm
times.
just, I am
There's a lot of energy. You
autistic.
feed off the energy. I think Sherry would acknowledge that, or maybe agree. And it just
I'm
gives
out
a
of water.
vibrancy to the debate. On the other hand, when you're in a room with a couple of moderators and you're not playing to the audience, you have to maybe behave yourself a little bit more. And I think it's correct to say we're going to watch very early how these two people face off, especially with two moderators and these other rules around the microphone and that sort of thing. But you know, there's pluses and minuses. You go back, and you know, I do a lot of work with history, and you go back to that Kennedy-Nixon debate, first time on television, and Nixon is sweating profusely, and the hot lights are bothering him, and Kennedy, cool as a cucumber. It made a big difference, because if you go back and look, people who were polled after that debate, if they heard the radio debate, Nixon won that.
Sure.
If you polled him on the television debate, Kennedy won it. Yeah. So, you know, these are all interesting sidebars.
Definitely. We've got to go. Well, speaking of sidebars, too, it's not just the debate itself. A lot of questions are swirling in the political atmosphere as well tonight. Who will Donald Trump pick as his running mate? Also, the RFK Jr. question. He's doing his own counter-programming event tonight. It seems like the Trump and Biden camps have neutralized the third-party threat, at least for one night here. But we got to leave it at that. We got to go. Brian Sobel, Sherry Bustos, can't thank you enough. Have a good debate night.
Thanks, Andrew.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
All right, in the meantime, here, we're going to take yet another quick commercial break. Remember, we still have our live picture there inside the spin room. We're going to be going through some tweets as well to see how the campaigns are preparing. We are just about 12 minutes away from the first presidential debate. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Superbe.
Oh, wow. Right here. Huh? Oh. Aw. I think I'll finish this game before the debate. Yeah, I probably... Yeah? Yeah, I will. Okay, we're good. I'll make it full screen when it comes back. I mean, when they start the debate.
So, don't take it personally when I get the most kills, okay?
We're a good team. You're lucky to have me. 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture.
Lana Del Rey is her name.
Party started.
Is this guy gonna, like, play the game, or is he gonna DC?
Systems hot.
Turret ahead. Watch yourselves.
Fire on guard.
Let me try that again.
They're taking our point! The point of the kill feed!
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for joining us for some of this pre-debate coverage and analysis. Hope you found it informative here. We're not done yet. We've got about 10 minutes until the debate starts here. We're going back out live, though, to Atlanta.
I hate my life.
Madison Scarpino standing by.
Don't res me.
A pulse of the city on this
Sorry, babe.
political night. She joins me. Madison, good
God
to see
bless
you
America.
here. I know you've covered politics a lot this year. What's in store tonight?
Well, the stage is set here in Atlanta for one of the
Yep.
rare debates in U.S. history between a sitting president and a former president.
The fake
4
president
years
and the real
after their last
president.
debate, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are facing off again in the crucial battleground state of Georgia. The
That's what I
historic
get for being
showdown
nice
will
to
likely
people.
see the candidates weigh in on the economy, immigration, and abortion just hours after the Supreme Court ruled against Idaho and the state's near total abortion ban.
President Trump is
Hello?
going to lay out
Help.
his
I need
vision for
heals.
the next 4 years of America and really talk about a contrast between his record, his 4 years in office, and Joe Biden's 4 years in office.
The former president has been on the road with recent events in D.C., Philadelphia, and New Orleans, while the president has spent much of the last week preparing for the debate at Camp David. The Biden campaign says the president's record will speak for itself.
He's going to present a clear choice between himself, who's fighting for the American people every single day, and he's going to be debating against Donald Trump, who's now running his campaign as a convicted felon.
The latest Fox News poll shows voters will be paying attention tonight, with more than half saying the debate will be extremely or very important to their vote.
I really just want to hear their plan on how they're planning to secure our
Oh,
country,
boy.
secure our borders, keep us safe.
Why did they mute her? Hello? They muted her.
I lost programming.
Yeah.
All right, Madison, do you have...
They're stealing it already!
All right, unfortunately, it looks like we did lose Madison Scarpino there live for us in Atlanta, but great reporting, as always, there. Apologize on that. That's what happens sometimes when everything is live, raw, and unfiltered during these major events here. Let's go over some of the live looks that we have inside of the spin room there. You can see kind of cleared out because people are gearing up to go, probably in the media filing center for so many of the journalists who have descended on Atlanta for this major event there. Also, we're getting some tweets in. Let's go to these. So, Joe Biden there, you can see he said,
Fuck.
I don't know what they've got in these performance enhancers, but I'm feeling pretty
Oh my god.
Try it yourselves, folks. He says, see you in a bit. Joe.link/secret sauce. So, the Biden camp is clearly tongue-in-cheek there, playing on the trope the Trump campaign said a couple weeks back, accusing Biden of possibly using performance-enhancing drugs. Of course, those are unfounded allegations and claims at the moment. Trump made the same claims back in 2020, but as you know, the Biden campaign there in this tweet, having fun with it as well here. Trump going so far as to dare
Fuck my
Biden and
cock.
Biden
How's
camp
that?
to undergo drug testing
Oh,
ahead of this.
stupid
So
bitch.
this is all part of the back and forth amongst these campaigns here. So we also have, I think, a tweet.
You want me to switch? I'll switch. Now I'm Bastion. Eat shit.
He was in the comm shop at the Trump White House with this video saying Trump arrives at CNN in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a beautiful live now look there. Over the Atlanta skyline, you see there Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We also have this live picture as well inside of the spin room. Take a look at this. So we are just about 6 minutes away here. My colleague, Austin Westfall,
got her.
will be joining me for a lot of the post-debate analysis. We also have a lot of reporters
I'm gonna kill myself
as well for so
in the
much of
game.
this post-debate
Obviously.
coverage. Remember, it's 90 minutes, and so there's no audience, there's no crowd. The mics will be cut when the other candidate is not speaking. We also have the podium positions.
I hope it's not a total
A
snoozer.
couple of days ago, we know where Biden, in the coin toss, chose his podium position. That was what the Biden campaign wanted. They wanted the key podium position. The Trump campaign, in that very same coin toss, got the last word. So Trump will be giving the last word
Got
in
him.
the debate once the 90
Nice.
minutes is all said and done here. So, like I said, we're about 5 minutes out. We hope you are gearing up for this. This will be simulcast on Live Now from Fox, the CNN presidential debate. In the meantime here, we do want to bring into the conversation my friend and colleague, Austin Westfall, who joins me in the Live Now newsroom for more. And Austin, just to give the viewers kind of a programming note, the stipulations and the restrictions on some of the debate content itself, there's a time frame until we can show highlights and clips of the debate. So that's about 90 minutes after the debate is all said and done. And then we will be showing some of the key highlights, the exchanges, the backs and the forths between Trump and Biden on that debate stage. So wanted to make sure viewers know that. It won't be immediate, but we'll have it a little bit later tonight. Awesome.
Call it the more interesting parts of the debate. This thing is going to be lengthy. It's going to be 90 minutes long. What topics are going to be covered? That's something that everybody's going to be asking around this time. CNN itself hasn't exactly told us what the specific topics will be, but just to hit a couple of hot button issues here, border security,
There we go.
and immigration, obviously expected to be a big one, and we'll obviously be looking out for anything they discuss as far as abortion rights go. Obviously Trump's felony conviction, that's something
That got
we expect
overturned.
Biden talked about in that hush money case. There's also the conviction of the president's son, Hunter Biden, for possession of a gun that he had in his possession while he had a drug addiction. So we're going to be looking forward to some of those things. The economy, as you know very well, Andrew, is always one of the bigger elements that helps voters decide which way they're going to be swinging in any given election here. So voters' concerns about the of both of these presidents is also something you've been touching on throughout the evening. Just a quick stat on the nature, I saw this on TV. Research said that the median age of current national leaders is 62 years old. He was elected on this election day, the oldest person ever elected.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, in the wake of the Trump conviction, the Biden campaign was quite forthcoming about that, saying that this is going to be a key feature of some of Biden's attack lines tonight as well.
Oh my
to see
God.
whether or not his own son's conviction, to your point, is brought up by the Trump camp as well. The economy, abortion, immigration. Also, you know what is not going to be front and center, because we haven't got the decision yet from the Supreme Court. This question on presidential immunity. Can a president, while in office, be immune from criminal prosecution for alleged crimes they committed while in office? So we don't have that ruling yet. The Supreme Court still has a few more rulings left to deliver. That could come tomorrow, that could come Monday, but it can't be an attack line tonight because it has not come down as well. Also, the counter-programming from some of these third-party candidates, as you know, RFK Jr. holding his own event. He's not on the debate stage tonight. The parties there, the Biden and Trump camp, somewhat neutralize that threat, so to speak. And then, of course, the question, who might Trump pick as his running mate is going to be alive and well. So many of these would-be contenders, Austin, on these short and long lists, or the beat stakes is what we call it. They're there in Atlanta tonight with the Trump camp. Live now look there as well, inside the spin room. Austin Westfall, I will see you after the debate. We're getting ready to go. We are about 30 seconds out from the debate here, and you can see there the spin room has been cleared, and of course, if you know by now, we are simulcasting the CNN presidential debate here on Live Now from Fox. And after the debate, we will be bringing on reporters, experts, analysts to talk about what we all just watched on this major night in American history, on this major night in the 2024 presidential election cycle. So I'm Andrew Kraft. We will see you after the debate is all said and done with highlights. Let's watch.
We're live from Georgia, a key battleground state.
Ooh, go Georgia. Let's make it red, baby. Let's make Georgia red.
As their party's presumptive
Sorry.
nominees, a first in American history. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our studios in Atlanta. This is the CNN presidential debate.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN Espanol. This is a pivotal moment between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bass, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determines their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to
Captain's hiding right, he's low.
1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements.
Be traded. Moira on point. Arisa. What the heck? They canceled the stream. Watch out, Moira. Don't. Nice carry. Just don't peek it. Eat shit. Well, I made him waste his ult, so there's that. What the fuck happened to the...
Elsewhere in Israel,
At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing
Dude, our other
statements.
DPS is AFK. I don't know what's going on.
They have turret. I killed the turrets.
It's a DPS diff right now, GG.
That was cringe. I guess we have to watch it here.
A lot of credit for the military and no
Yeah.
wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that...
Is he reading from something?
We find ourselves in a situation where...
He is! Look, he's reading from something!
He rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs.
10 years ago, we had Steve Jobs, Bob Hope, and Johnny Cash. Now we have no jobs, no hope, and no cash.
Well, so far,
Please, God, don't let Kim Bacon die.
$4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet. the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one.
Oh my gosh.
He got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy. When I'm going to fix the tax system, for example.
What's the gas price right now? What's the gas price right now? Huh?
Billionaires in America.
Oh, it's like $3, $4, and then under Biden it was like, under Trump it was $2.
If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, $1 million, I should say, in a 10-year period, we'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what we're able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with
oh my God,
dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence, and it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Yay.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump.
Okay, to
overturn Roe v.
Let's
Wade,
make it easy.
which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back.
Yes, make it a
leaders. And
state issue. State issue.
I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago,
that's a great
we
answer.
started talking about how
good
many
answer.
weeks
Good
and how
answer.
many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
You have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President
It's been a terrible thing. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered.
To our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states.
We're back.
The states
We're back.
Are voting. In cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the
That's
total
just
ban
absolutely
on
insane.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank
caravans.
you, President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed
The only people?
Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true.
We had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
I want to see what they say.
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed 3 under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration.
What?
Killed 3 American soldiers.
This is
killed 3
beautiful.
American soldiers.
So who's replacing Biden? I got Whitmer.
I'm not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea
You think
they're
Newsom?
emptying their prisons, we're welcoming.
I think we'll know within a week.
It's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said.
tonight.
Once
Maybe
again, he's
tonight.
exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge on everything.
It would only
He's the
get
one that
better.
killed people with the bad water, including
I don't think it get better.
hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
Second biggest issue,
Ridiculous,
immigration.
insane, and very stupid policies. People are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl. 12 years old.
12 years old.
This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything
Illegal
like
immigrant just killed 2
we have
people
to
in
get
the
a lot
Irving
of these people
Chick-fil-A
out, and
next
we
to
have
the
to get
Blaze
them out
Studios.
fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels.
Why did I get the
New
tattoo?
York City
Because
and other places. Our veterans are on the street.
why did I get the tattoo? It's because it's basically like me as a person, like my VTuber, here, space, like it's me. It's Saturn, like it's me. I just wanted, like, I don't really get to decide what I do with my life, really. But I have control over what I will put on my body and what I wear. I mean, mostly. Probably some stuff I wouldn't be allowed to wear. But I can control what I put on my skin, and that's a tattoo. So it's like the one thing that I can do without my parents forcing me to take it back.
The children dying because of illegal immigrants was a lie.
I know.
Families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker.
Joe Biden down 38, down to 38 cents, down 7
Oh my God.
since the start.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation.
He's
it
just
wasn't.
killing it.
That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one.
He said, you said, I don't care.
The idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for...
He is somewhat coherent, yes. Maybe they gave him some adrenochrome before the debate started. I don't know.
Home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin,
at least he looks
he would have never invaded Ukraine.
This guy apart.
A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible, embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no loss. But he should have fired those
Dave
generals.
Portnoy of Barstool says Trump should cede all his time to Biden.
Embarrassing
Biden starts a sentence and he can't finish. He's lost his train of thought.
where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said,
man, I'm seeing
you know
liberals
what? I think we're going to go in and
over this.
maybe take my... This was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference
Dave
is
Smith is predicting that Biden won't even be the nominee.
Yeah, dude.
Ukraine. Never.
I think a lot of people have been predicting that, right? I mean,
Cenk Uygur is saying this is elder abuse.
It
is.
It
really does. If we stick with Biden, it's a guaranteed loss.
Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas.
That's why people are saying
they had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up.
Is he taking notes, though? Do you think he's writing with his right hand?
Yeah, it looks like he's... Never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing.
I don't remember that happening at all.
Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine,
I thought so too.
This guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want, and that's exactly what Trump did.
What?
Frank Luntz is saying that his undecided voters.
And he went in. And listen to what he said.
It's not going well for Biden.
He's going to take Kyiv.
It's not his policies, it's his presentation.
Because it's part of the old Soviet
He said
Union.
they don't like when Trump is yelling at Biden.
Kyiv. And he,
it sounds like a senior citizen bingo hall argument.
Wasn't able to get it done, and they've lost over.
Trump needs to focus on what he's going to do.
Thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never said that.
For 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think
it's almost as much as we've given to Israel for 50 years.
Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people.
Wow.
And he has made one thing clear.
Right now.
He wants
Biden
to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire. Not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think?
Biden's cooked.
What do you think happens
Biden's cooked. Biden's so cooked.
So if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away.
Biden is cooked.
By the way,
yeah, think about that. Biden have the lowest expectations.
Democratic presidential nominee predicted Biden is down 20 points and Newsom jumped 10 points.
And our NATO allies have
holy shit!
For Ukraine,
look at California.
That's why.
Even if Newsom does jump in.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East.
He has a horrible record.
In October,
the homelessness
Hamas
in California. I saw a video
killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages.
Every year for the past
Among
10
those
years.
held and thought to still be alive.
Oh, they're doing Israel. They're doing Israel.
Israel's response
shekel.
of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use
Please
to get
donate for that
Hamas and
meme.
Israel and the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7, to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward.
What about the American
people?
There's
3 stages to it. The first stage is
the American people don't matter to Biden.
Hostages
Dummy.
for a ceasefire.
Bah,
Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is know the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest.
It's so bad. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Of anyone in the world.
Oh my God.
And so they're two different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts, our intelligence people, as to how they can get Hamas like we did Bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way,
you mentioned that Trump is up in prediction market and Biden's down.
And they should.
Newsom's up 10
should
points.
be eliminated.
Yeah.
But you've got to be careful
15%.
Using certain
What's
weapons
Michael Obama
among
at?
population centers.
Not charting. Not at all.
Who's on the list?
Going back to Ukraine for 1 second.
Trump, Biden, and Newsom, Harrison Jr. are the only real.
The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us.
They can play the Fed napping with Whitmer as a sympathy card.
He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO.
I've never heard so much malarkey. I've never heard so much foolishness.
He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well.
All his responses are he's just
maybe a big ocean, but
the liberal response right now on X is telling. They are either screaming, saying, CNN, what are you doing? Stop doing this. Like as if the moderators can save him. And the others are saying, we're cooked.
We're
cooked. They're posting pictures of the markets.
He's cooked. Putin go in and control
National Association for Gun Registry.
Move on to Poland and other places.
Intergalactic ball missile.
He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Is that what he said?
By the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
Wait,
what?
President Trump, just to follow
There is no end to this war.
Would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay.
The ratio right now?
He asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states
they picked
at
a good
that time,
shade of
nations
orange
at that time.
tonight.
And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that.
So CNN didn't tweak it behind the scenes.
Billions of dollars came flowing in the next day or 6 months. But now we're in the same position.
Viva Fry predicting Biden will bail within a month.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day,
Joe, do you think Joe Biden still wants to be president? I know he wanted to be, but
mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On
Yes,
January
return to
6th, we were energy
immigration.
independent. On January
Kyle
6th, we had the lowest
Kalinske
taxes
tweets
ever.
they accidentally
We had the
gave
lowest
Joe the downer.
regulations ever.
Yeah.
On January 6th, we were respected all over the world.
Kyle's tweet.
All over the world, we were respected.
This is
And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
This is
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inactions on January 6, 2021?
That's a double
and
question.
worry that
I
you'll do it
reject the
again?
premise
Well,
of
I
that.
didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago,
Get her.
on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor,
Yes, she
in
did.
writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day. She was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
She did. The video just got released.
I'm speechless. I can't believe he
I
had
sat in the dining room off the
such
Oval
amazing
Office.
answers.
Sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences.
Yep.
And
because of the First Amendment.
Great.
He went to
E-Bash and Super Chat says it's 3-on-1 and they're still
I don't know how
losing.
many cases.
Right?
Scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said...
Sorry,
they
I'm
said,
not
no,
reading
no,
chat. It's
this guy is
super hard to
responsible
read.
for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are...
He tried to get review the cases.
He wants to let them all out.
And
now
he
says that
should.
loses again.
That's exactly
A lot of them are First Amendment cases.
Bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Man, they cut him off.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed.
Yeah,
when you look at all of the
jail.
They took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man on.
There we go.
And the fact of the matter is,
drink,
what he's telling you
guys,
is simply
drink.
not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on.
That's not true.
And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, turned over desks, turned them over statues.
What?
The idea
What?
those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked
Come
him
on,
the
man.
first two debates we had, the debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by.
What?
The idea he's
What?
refusing will you denounce these
Did he
guys?
actually say this during
What?
the
You
debate?
denounce the people
No,
who
he
fought
didn't.
now?
He's asking him now?
You denounce
Slur.
the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
Yeah. I'm only drinking water. I can't drink. I can't drink alcohol. I take away too many pills. I'm disabled, so like I'm not messing with my pills.
If reelected, you would quote have every right to go after unquote your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation.
That's good.
My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times.
I don't agree
Should have
with
been
it.
convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be
They
a
found a
convicted
rental
felon
car
with
with
all of the
cocaine in it from
things that
Hunter
he's
Biden
done.
and
He's
never
done
got in
horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
Too esoteric.
That we're
He's
not
gotta
going
get
to
on
do
issues.
anything.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
What?
That I did anything wrong.
Well, CNN's letting him cheat. Take a shot, people. Bottoms up. They gave him an extra minute to respond. Okay. Sound back on.
Legitimate child.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
What? Huh?
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible
Yeah, I
judge,
did for a
Democrat.
second.
The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal.
Border Patrol Union tweeted, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse
Biden. He thought it was going to damage me, but when the public found out
The
about
Border
those
Patrol
cases,
Union.
they understand it better than he does. He has no idea what
The Border Patrol
when they
Union.
found out
From
about these
CFR.org.
cases,
If
know
the
what they
prosecutor's
did?
not fired,
The
you're
phone
not getting the
numbers
money.
went way
Well,
up. You know
SOB,
that 'cause
he
you
got
reported
fired.
it.
There you
And
go.
We took in more money
lied.
in the
Trump was
last
right.
2 weeks
Lied.
than we've ever taken in
Hi,
the history
Diamond.
of any campaign. I don't think any campaign
And
has
welcome,
ever taken
Duncan. I don't think you've been here
hundreds of
before.
Millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA
I'm surprised they haven't gone
Republicans
to commercial
are
yet.
determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump
This is a
will
good
be
question.
voting
Oh my
against
God.
American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes.
What?
The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to
actually
face.
just said the
I don't know
Americans
what the
have a
juries will
vote for
do,
right
but I
against
do know he
democracy.
has a real problem.
Probably
And
didn't
so
either.
the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution?
You
Ever heard
literally
any
threatened
president
Americans
say
with F-15s, you
I've got
idiot.
some good ideas. What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided
Here we go.
Iraq, because of Iraq. I said I
He
wasn't
said
going
in
to run
Iraq
again
and then corrected himself.
until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Just fact check that.
Torches and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany, and the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of
Everyone knows it's BS.
people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides." What
Shout out to
American
Snopes.
president
Thanks for that.
Yep,
would ever
fact check.
say
Snopes. Trump never said
Nazis
it.
coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people?
Were they?
This is the guy who says
No,
Yeah,
I don't think they were carrying
No.
swastikas. Just tiki
During the
torches.
Charlottesville, there was a guy with the flag,
This
though.
guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance.
That's been in his face the whole time, Tim.
You know it. I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor has every reasonable anchor.
Now, come on, CNN, confirm this.
And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that.
Confirm
it,
CNN.
Because of Charlottesville. He used
confirm
that
it if it was Trump or if it was Biden.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen.
Oh, it didn't. Let's roll it again.
The idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people.
You said it was the only reason you ran.
For the soul of the nation. Those woods, carrying those torches.
Yikes. I'm biting my fingernails, guys. Sorry.
Didn't deserve to be president at all.
I'm
and the
stressed
idea
out.
that he's talking
the American
about
people decide who
all this
deserves to
being
be president.
fabricated. We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened
Wait,
on January
yeah.
6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why.
Occupying his own vice
40
president?
of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well.
Yeah, my
serve
son
with him.
sucks.
Brianna Wu just tweeted the arrogance of the Democrat
Thank you,
Party
President Biden. We're going to be right
establishment
back
brought us
with
to this
more
moment.
from the CNN presidential debate.
We all knew he was too old to run again, and instead of admit it, they insisted everything was fine because it was better for their careers. And now we're fucked.
So it's first commercial break, 51 minutes in. It's kind of fascinating.
Wow.
And they're only doing 2 commercial breaks.
Theoretically, there'll be another. I don't
So
know.
is he allowed to sit down in the corner of the ring now and the ice his face, or?
Well, so he's not allowed. Neither one is allowed to have any contact with any campaign staff. So theoretically, I
Can they go
assume
potty?
they're allowed to, exit the stage, use the restroom, whatever else. But they are not allowed to hear from.
I mean,
anyone how
Biden's
it's
obviously
done.
going
So
potty in
maybe
his
they check
diaper.
their own
At the
phones.
urinal?
I mean, the thing is, I don't think
I saw that
Joe
Brandon
Biden
is hopped
checks
up on some
Twitter,
kind of
whereas
drug.
yeah,
Yeah,
Trump is checking
probably.
Twitter right now.
So he's awake.
I got a clip for you.
I bet he is.
I
Uh-oh.
didn't want to play this during the debate.
Not I, but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones, so I got Ukraine, and I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for I guess
Ooh,
the
this is bad.
12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and
Thank
I
you
was
for
going-
6
supposed
years,
to
everybody.
announce that there was another $1 billion loan
Chuckles.
guarantee. And I
Hooray.
had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna,
me too.
We're not going to give you the $1 billion.
And
They
I knew
said,
he was
"You
going to
have
do
no
fact
authority. You're
checks,
not
which
the
is why I
president."
pulled
The
up his
president
stream.
said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
That's it. Quid pro quo Joe. And it turns out Victor Shokin, the prosecutor, was investigating a company called Burisma, where Joe
Yeah,
Biden's
we know that.
son was on the
We
board
know,
of directors.
we know, Tim. We know.
At the very least, we can call that a conflict of interest for which Joe Biden should not have been involved, but he brags about it and then lies about it.
Tim
That was
has,
the
like,
video.
really
You
bad
saw it.
teeth.
Share it with your friends.
He should get
did it.
braces. Like,
Now, you might be a liberal, you might be a Democrat, and say that's not a criminal
looks
action. That's
painful.
fine. It's still a conflict of interest, and we agree Biden shouldn't have done it. But I tell you this, Biden denied it even happened. I just showed you the video. The lies. It's.
oy
It
vey,
is like
the
gaslighting
lies.
the entire American public, right? Joe Biden said repeatedly.
She's
I mean,
cute.
Trump references these young girls who have
What?
died because of illegal immigration.
I
Because
didn't
of
say
across
anything.
the border and a couple other things. And Trump's and Biden's response is, everything he just said was a lie. I mean, he is deny, and it's to the detriment of the families that are suffering, right? I'm going to lie about the economy. Even CNN, we right before the show, we pulled the clip of the guy saying, I tried to reorder the same thing from Walmart. It went from being $120 for a month's worth of groceries to over $400. And CNN is like, it went from about $100 to $120.
I'll be fair a little bit. I think their numbers are wrong, but they're doing this average broad thing. And that guy, who knows? Maybe he had there's like a pork thing that's no longer available. It's more expensive. Fair to say, though, 100 to 120 does not track with the inflation rates that we actually.
Much higher.
And I would argue that if there is something that is now not widely available that was then, that is also an economic problem, right? Any kind of supply chain issue falls back on the American people because they suffer
real quick. What's up?
There is a breaking S&P futures surged towards new record high as markets began pricing in a Trump 2024 election victory. Markets now see a new high 63% chance of Trump winning the election. Odds of President Biden winning a second term are down 15%.
Real quick, we have this January 2021 1.4% inflation. Biden lied early on, and it spiked into Biden's first term. He blamed Trump for that.
He is just absolutely lying.
While black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
Are they only doing one commercial?
And black Americans
or maybe right before closing
at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
You didn't acknowledge you made a lot of progress, number one.
He just said, he was like, nah, you're wrong. Sorry, black people, you're wrong. That's what he just said. Oh my god. God, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporate corporations that collude.
Yeah, same. I used to watch Tim, but he's a bit too much doomer. Doom cell. He's a doom cell. Yeah. So
we are just back from
families
commercial.
have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black childcare costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for childcare costs. We got to make sure because
I think the stimulants are running out for Biden.
Style guide they're using when they capitalize black.
Come on, Biden, just take a quick sniff. Like,
oh yeah, look at that.
There's more to be done.
take a quick sniff, Brandon.
We've done a great deal so far, and I'm not
Still waiting on that tour. Yeah.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
On race?
Do you know what
On
the
race?
interest rates are now on homes?
On race?
$10,000
Oh
isn't
no.
anything to talk about.
And only for black people. Like, Joe Biden's racist. He only likes certain
Oh no. Oh no.
I hate doing the Democrats are the real racist thing, but if your party embraces critical race theory and awakening a racial consciousness in the people, in your party, they're going to focus on race.
And we're going to do
You're the racist ones when you make everything about race. I mean, that's
They're just KKK without the hoods now.
And he caused the inflation. And he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation. And it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled.
Cheesecake
Factory.
Factory.
They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect.
1.4%. We just fact-checked that.
He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you.
This no interruption format benefits Trump tremendously. It allows him to remain professional in his appearance without
makes him look good.
Yep.
15% on
Yeah.
He
By
decimated the economy. Absolutely decimated.
Fake anger. I called it out.
That's why there's
Guys, we don't really care what Biden says, okay? I knew that was an orange cat. What was I gonna say? Yeah, by making it so that Trump can't interrupt, it's actually making him look better. Like, it's making him look good, more professional. I mean, we still get the funny tee hee ha ha, just without the interrupting. but they're accidentally making him look fantastic, and I don't think that was their plan. But it's fantastic. I mean, fantastic for us, not Democrats.
It is at some point they have to realize how embarrassing it is.
Well, that's how they're going to spin it. They're going to be like, look at the performance he did while he was sick. It's like the Michael Jordan flu game, you know. He's sick and still did a great job.
Yeah,
Kelly O'Donnell, senior White House correspondent to NBC News, says
2023
two
was the
sources
hottest
say Biden
year
has a
in
cold.
recorded history and communities across
Biden has a cold. That's why he did bad.
I don't know how that's possible.
He'll get a cold when he's president,
stronger
too.
hurricanes and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Talk about
Let me
fake
just
clouds,
go back
please.
to what he said about
I love that he just keeps
police.
ignoring her.
How close the police are to him.
Look at who her
Almost
husband
every
does.
Police group in the nation.
He should
from
ignore
every
her.
state.
She shouldn't even be on
is supporting
stage.
Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't eliminate them now.
Nice.
Ooh, nice reference.
All bad.
Joe Biden's face.
And he called it to
He
him.
doesn't remember. He doesn't remember. Oh my
Now they
gosh.
see it happening.
1992,
When they see
93.
what I did for
Yeah.
criminal justice reform and for the historically
They need to be
black
removed from the
colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's
Fact check.
lost
Back to immigration.
much of the
Fact check.
black
Biden did
population
not call black people
because he's
super
done a
predators.
horrible
That was
job
Hillary
with
Clinton.
black people.
It was Clinton.
He's also done a
Biden said
horrible
predators
job
on our
for
streets.
Hispanics.
Don't want my kids to grow up in a racial jungle.
Right.
But
Yeah, and he did say the N-word too multiple times.
Fair point, though. Biden didn't say that was Hillary Clinton who did it. That's fair.
Yeah.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't like this question because it's so
I
subjective.
don't know where the hell he's been.
What?
Yeah,
What?
The day that he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
That costs
in history.
jobs.
We find ourselves
struggling
by
to
the way,
breathe.
black
Keystone
colleges.
Pipeline
Well, he has a cold.
Came up with 50
Oh,
billion
he has a
dollars
cold,
for
right.
HBCUs,
He has a
historic
cold.
black universities and
Ugh.
colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like.
Wow.
Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money. But now they'll be able to get.
They don't have the money. Did he
We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something.
He just
that
said
had
black
cleanest
people are
water,
poor.
Cleanest water. He hadn't done a
I think he
damn
said he
thing
wanted
for the
cleaner water, right?
No, he said we had
out of the Paris.
Had the cleanest water?
I mean, it's a Trump hyperbole. It's not.
I immediately joined it because if we reach
Like, how is Flint
1.5 degrees Celsius,
Trump just say yes,
and
but
then
not
we
a cause.
there's
Yeah,
no way back.
yeah. He should have said that. But you know, we can give him a gaff here and there. We can give him a gaff here and
The
there.
water's turning all the frogs gay.
The water's turning all the frogs gay.
Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States.
Stop telling him to do things that'll help him. What's wrong with you?
He's never going to listen to me ever.
We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools,
other
our
performance in the
hospitals.
debate has
They're going to
been
be
this
taking
bad
over Social Security.
in recent
He is
memory?
destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Hassan the Hun says, Hassan
The
Hiker,
idea is
Biden saw RFK Jr.
we, in
doing
fact,
numbers on TikTok and wanted to
we
sound
were-
like him.
We're the only ones of consequence. who
Hassan's so
were
stupid.
Not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its pollution under control?
What the fuck is he talking about?
Number one. We're making significant progress.
I need
By
to copy
2025,
this.
we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're
What the fuck is he talking about?
Change the elements of cause.
Please, Biden, do it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, watch. We'll get ready to clip it. Goodbye. Have a wonderful time.
And about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to
the
prescription
Adult Swim
drugs,
thing.
one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
and by the way,
struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut.
I'd like to thank CNN for
10
this.
years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
So stupid.
Right
So
now,
stupid.
Everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income. Of their
I
paycheck.
meant what
Every
Fetterman
single
did
time.
during.
Paycheck
Oh
is
yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Not enough wealthy people in this country that you can tax to actually cover the cost of the deficit.
Millionaires pay 1%.
I mean, like our yearly deficit.
You would have to yeah, exactly.
If you taxed all of the millionaires at 100%, it would not even cover a small fraction of U.S. federal spending per year.
The fact that this is even being said should be fact-checked by CNN. If there was any attempt at
You still have 82
actual
seconds
honesty.
left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent.
No, it won't. It's $1 trillion a year just in interest.
Money to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security.
I think Phil doesn't like Joe.
It's infuriating.
Look at Trump smiling. He's like, fuck yes, I'm gonna rock this world. God, I love that smile.
This is the future.
Who's that smile?
If this doesn't get fixed,
That damn smile.
millions of people will die because no one is going to own our debt. This is the most important thing.
He has no plan.
He has no plan.
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
He knows he won't be here for
The
that. He
ACA, as I
doesn't care.
said, you're in a circumstance where
It's infuriating.
400,000 people, 40
I wonder if the
million
new
people
candidate will have all
do not
the
have
talking
insurance
points,
because
or
of
they
the
keep
pre-existing
using his.
condition.
I think it's interesting that they were like, is there anything else? And he was like, no, just that one thing. And now I'm going to say why Trump is bad.
Yeah.
And by the way,
It's a very negative campaign. It
we're in a
always has been.
situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised
And then I'm going to talk about black people because I think that'll help me now.
Another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. It's, he
Only
just don't know
black
what he's
people, though?
talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, President Biden.
No one knows what you're talking about.
Politicians, all my life, I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things, too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation.
Cheap fakes.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country. And they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing.
With debit cards from the mayor.
It's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general.
Yeah, and
that general got fired.
And that's why
he
lied.
He's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country. and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world.
Dude, the middle class.
Don't say it.
Better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession.
Oh yeah, that's who I want to listen to.
Inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
What a bunch of
President Biden, thank you so much.
Right. Scholars and experts are the people I care
many
about the
American
least.
families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than
He said
their
he won the
rent.
debate.
In your senior year,
And he would
what
like some
you
money.
do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired.
They're always going back.
And
He
should. He said that. That's
Try
why he
and
made it
focus
up.
on the
There were
question,
many
you
people that
rambling
said I didn't
fool.
say
Yeah,
that.
his batteries are going out like.
I watched that black one they put out.
He doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did
That's
fire a lot.
Biden.
I fired Comey
That's
because
what
he was no
Biden
good. I
looks
fired
like.
a lot of the
Like
top
this.
people at the FBI during the spring. We're no
I think
good.
he got
Not
it.
easy to fire people.
Ah.
Pay a price for it.
What?
I think he
They
said
were
he
I
did.
inherited these people. I didn't put them. I didn't
Stole
put
that
Comey there.
luggage.
He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't
Trump-
fired anybody.
Trump lied.
He never fires. He should have fired every military man
Go
that
back to
was
you're
involved
fired
with
right
that
here?
Afghan.
I just love that Trump
the
is like, yes,
Afghanistan,
we should fire people who are bad.
horror
And
show.
Biden's like,
Most
can you believe he
embarrassing
would
moment
fire
in the
someone?
history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did
His words
anybody
look
get
like they're
fired
actually
for allowing
hurting him.
18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
Get him.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate.
Nice.
Wow.
That's it.
He's
That's
the
it.
worst president.
That was it.
You just said about me because I said it.
That was good.
Look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
I've never seen someone
He's
look this
destroyed our
confused for this
country.
long amount of
Now
time.
all of a sudden
When he
trying to get
says
a
he's the
little
worst
tough on the border.
president,
He came out with a
understand for a lot of
nothing-
people,
a nothing deal.
saying things is enforcing it in their minds.
Yeah. Like,
People
this
will
much.
repeat
It's
that.
insignificant.
They're going to be at the coffee shop like, well, he is the worst president of our lifetime.
Our country to either
Walk
be
around
destroyed
outside.
or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how
he
bad
said
it
it.
is.
Drinking game?
He's
That was in the
worst
drinking game.
in history by far.
Oh, drinking,
Thank you,
drinking.
President Biden.
We're the most admired country in the world.
No.
The United
By
States of
who?
America.
What?
Who?
Nothing beyond our capacity.
It's just
We're the
arrogance, right?
finest military in the
It's
history
just
of the world.
assert my arrogance.
Finest in the history
And
of
it's
the
like,
world.
yeah, we
No
used to
one
be a really
thinks
great
we're weak.
country with all kinds
No
of
one
great values,
wants to
and then
screw
you
around with
destroyed
us.
them,
Nobody.
and now you think
Number
that
one.
people still think
Number
of us
two,
that
the
way.
idea that we're talking about
Okay.
worst presidents. I wasn't joking.
Have they not talked
Look it
about
up.
trans
Go
or
online.
LGBT?
Nope.
No, they haven't.
58
I actually
And
am
on Pride Month.
Lie.
All he does is appeal to authority.
They've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history.
And then
One through best to worst. They said he was
Are you
the
Biden
telling me that
is-
the establishment
They're
doesn't
saying
like the
Right.
anti-establishment?
Biden's claiming Trump is the worst
That's not a
president.
big
Same poll said
conjecture.
Wilson was one of the
You
best.
can argue they're wrong, but that's what
Just
the
kidding.
idea that he is doing anything to deal with
Brought back
child care.
segregation, which
If
was
Oh my
he
God,
did
there's a
what he
fucking
did,
wasp in
his
here.
First movie he ever played in the White
Biden's
You should
House was
significantly
Birth of a
increase the
Nation.
child care tax
And
credit.
he did the Fed.
You should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should
He said
encourage
women and men and
businesses
realized that was a bad
to
thing.
hold,
Yeah.
to have
Thank you, President
child
Biden.
care
I killed it.
President Trump,
Guys, I killed it. I killed it. I killed the
Make
wasp.
childcare more affordable if you want to
Are you
take
proud
care
of me?
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that
He
they
shouldn't
rate
get
him the
tangled
worst.
up in this.
Let's
Because
hear
what
it.
he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you. I will
Oh, he's
show
trying to
you.
interrupt.
And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times.
The inflation will
Nobody
go
ever
through
heard
the
of
roof.
this
He's right.
before.
He's not- he's
All my
completely
life,
right.
I'd grow up and I'd see
Inflation will
politicians
go
talking
through
about
the
cutting
roof.
taxes. When we cut taxes, as
My
I
source,
said, we did
my
more
accountant.
business. Apple and
Like
all these
on the
companies
phone, he's like, here's
who
what you
were
got to understand about
bringing
the Trump tax cuts.
money back into our country. The worst president
Okay,
in history
let's
by
try it.
far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look,
That's
the fact
awesome.
of the matter is that he's dead wrong about.
Nice.
He's increased the tariff. He will increase.
Nice work.
The,
Keep up
taxes on middle
the
class.
good fight
people.
against
Andrew
ignore
Yang has
bugs.
just called for swapping
What
Joe
is this
Biden.
4 times proposal?
You guys
I don't know.
His tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything
I think
comes
they
in
should
their
keep it.
plan. You know what
Wait,
they're
wait,
going
wait.
to say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year.
Joe Biden's
more
attacking tariffs.
because they're going to have to pay.
He just proposed tariffs.
Food.
Dude's
and all the
lost.
things that we're gonna
It was what, like 3 weeks
Number
ago?
two,
He proposed tariffs.
He's in a situation where
Tariffs only
he
bad if
talks
Trump does
about
it.
how he is he somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fund.
Yeah, God forbid we have a tax cut, right, guys?
Oh, hate the rich people. That's not going to help the economy one bit.
Made any contact, any
whole career has been about
progress
being agreed
with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And
Supporting a Biden cabinet member making the case for tariffs.
Deaths in this country has
15 hours ago.
up. Under your term, it went up. Under
Catherine
your term,
Tai.
it has gone up. Former President Trump,
Axios.
despite the efforts
Trump
that
and
both
Biden
of you
both
have
see
made,
tariffs as a key
more
tool
than
of diplomacy. It's
100,000
wild.
Americans are dying from overdoses.
Ilhan
every year,
Omar is complaining
primarily
about
from
CNN.
fentanyl
You
and
can't
other
moderate a
opioids.
debate if you're
What will
unable
you do
to at least
help
push back on
Americans
outrageous
right now in
lies.
the throes of
About Biden?
addiction who are
Well, it's
struggling with
Ilhan Omar. I'm
treatment
sure
they need.
she means they are not pushing
Finish
back.
up. We now have the largest deficit.
Keith Olbermann's
in the
crying
history
about
of our country
CNN.
Under
Once
this
again,
guy.
Yeah.
Trump asked the
The
question.
largest
That's their play.
deficit
The
with
pro-Biden
China.
people are saying
He gets
CNN
paid by
is
China. He's a
bad,
Manchurian
and the
candidate.
realistic
He gets
liberals
money
are
from
like, and the
China.
progressives are like, Biden
I
is
think
done.
he's afraid to deal with them or something. But
You
do you
just called him
notice he
Manchurian
never took
candidate?
out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't
Tax
because
cut,
it's too
heart,
much
heart,
money.
heart.
It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst.
Yeah, the middle
the
class
worst
was gutted by
situation with
Biden. I
China.
feel very
China's
gutted.
gonna own us if you
My
keep
guts are like
allowing
hanging
them
out all over the
to do
floor.
what they're doing to us as a
Can do some
country. They
ASMR
are
with them if
killing
I
us as
give
a
them a
country,
good
Joe, and
munchie.
you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction?
Trump says
right now?
dealers will get shot and guys on it will be put in
Jake, we did
rehab.
very well at addiction
Ooh,
until the COVID
look
came
at that.
along. The 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country in every way. And then we had to get tough.
This question's
And it was
If you
drugs
don't,
pouring
if you
across
go
the
to
border.
rehab and you don't like
It started to increase.
do
We got
something
great
afterward,
equipment. We
you'll
bought the
fall back
certain
into
dog.
it
It's the most
because,
incredible
like,
thing that you've ever seen. The way
what
they
else
can
do you
spot
do
it.
with yourself,
We
you
did
know?
a lot, and we were
like
getting
being
very low
high
numbers,
is all these
very,
people
very
do.
low numbers.
So when
Then
they're
he
not
came
high,
along.
it's like,
The numbers,
well, what
have
do I
you
do with
seen the
myself
numbers
now? So I agree
It's
with
not
that,
only the
Duncan.
18 million people that I believe is even low because they
Horrible.
gotaways, they
Government
don't even talk
actually
about
trying to
gotaways.
limit spending
But
challenge.
the numbers of
Challenge?
the amount of
Impossible.
and human trafficking in women coming across our border. The worst thing I've ever seen. At numbers that nobody's ever seen under
Borders
him
totally
because the border's
collapsed. When I
so
was in
bad.
Yuma, they don't even
The
patrol it.
number
Like they
of
patrol it
drugs
just
coming
like
across our border
TSA,
now
but they want to give you a
is
water
the
bottle
largest
and
we've ever had by
tag
far.
for your suitcase and
President
give you a
Trump, thank
room.
you.
There's
President
mountains in Arizona that the
Fentanyl
cartel
and
run that are on the
black
American
fentanyl.
side.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all literally
I
run by
wanted to make
gangs.
sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl.
Border's an
These big
abstract idea
machines that
now.
roll over everything that comes across the border.
Thank you for the likes, everybody. Make sure to like the stream.
It's bipartisan deal.
Yeah, make sure to like the stream so you know we can.
Challenger Trump sounds like a man of the people. Incumbent Trump sounds like a man out for himself.
Of agents, more
It's a different Trump tonight. Wow.
Oh,
This
That's
Trump,
Frank Luntz.
this Trump sounds
when we
more
had that deal
presidential
done,
and more on
he went
message
and
and
called us.
more.
Yo,
News and politics.
Frank
There.
Luntz says, after the
gonna
first
hurt me.
commercial break, I asked the focus
No, he
group of
never argues
undecideds
how the good
how
bit.
many are more
It's a really
convinced to
good
vote for Biden. Zero
We
raised
need
their
those
hands.
machines.
Uh-oh.
Shout out to
Those
Harry
machines.
Sisson. How's it
We're
going for you,
coming out
buddy?
Very hard in every country
That's what I'm checking
in
on
Asia
here.
in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have
Joe
to
Biden
do.
said
we
he had to
need
come out of
those
his meeting
machines.
with President of China.
Thank you, President Biden.
Biden's
President Trump, and again, the question
Frank says Biden's voice is
because of addiction
is weakening
right now,
his answer on
struggling to
January
get the treatment
6th.
they need.
Well,
I'm
this-
saying,
this
like,
does
that
pertain.
matters.
He ended remain in Mexico. He
This
ended
is like the
catch and
perfect
release.
metaphor
I
for
made
how
a
the
catch
country
and
is in
release
two
in
different
Mexico,
dimensions.
not catch
Harry
and release
Sisson
here.
seeing him destroying
We had
Trump,
so many things
you know?
that we had done.
These guys live in
hard
two alternate
negotiations
realities.
with Mexico, and I got it all
It's
for
like showing
nothing.
people
It's just like when you have a
George Floyd
hostage.
video
We
or
always pay
Rittenhouse
$6
video and
billion
add
for a hostage. Every time we say there's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter.
Oh, interesting.
I think a good guy, and he's over there.
The
because
only
Putin is
person
laughing
supporting
at this
Biden
guy,
right now is
probably
Harry
asking for
Sisson.
billions of dollars.
Olbermann and some
I
other
will have
prominent
him out
liberals are
very quickly,
tweeting CNN is
as soon
botching
as I
it,
take
CNN,
office.
CNN, CNN. They
Before
know
I
it's
take
bad.
office, I
And
said,
then progressives
Keep
like
tagging
Biden
CNN. It won't help anything.
I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago.
I see
but
Biden
Putin's probably
giving, like, a
asking
very
for billions and billions of
serious,
dollars because this
stepping
guy
down.
pays it
This
every
is
time.
exactly
We have two
why
cases where he paid
they
$6
have been
billion
using
for 5
lawfare
people.
against Donald Trump.
I got
Because this would
58
be
people out,
every
and I paid
single
essentially
day
nothing.
if they were not put, if they did not have him in court and they didn't
Let's
have
turn to
him
concerns that voters
constantly
have
like
about each of you.
he would be brutalizing
You would be
Joe Biden.
All right, let's hear.
at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
He's gonna slur the answer.
Well, first of all,
That's his answer.
Half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person
Paleozoic era.
ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that this,
come on,
look what I've done. Look, I've turned around the horrible situation he left me.
What?
As I said, 15 million
greatest numbers of our lives at Jim
300,000
Cramer.
manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars.
I can't wait to look at Twitter after this.
And enterprises that we are growing.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to look at TikTok after this. It's gonna be so
The whole
funny.
idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And they're, guess what? Those fabs they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000.
He did everything possible to make it worse, Joe. He did vaccine mandates, he passed more spending bills, he kept up the fear. Yeah.
Now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would
Look
you
at the
like to
hat,
say
look at the
anything?
hat. 10 years ago, we had Steve Jobs, Bob Hope, and Johnny Cash. Now we have no jobs, no hope, and no cash.
I never heard a president talk like this before.
A president.
We're the envy of the world. Like, name me a single major country president.
And you could clip that because that hat rocks.
Nigeria had a lower COVID
All our
mortality
problems
rate
and
than
all our
us.
opportunities.
Yeah, we're the greatest
We're the
country
most
on earth.
progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest.
I think we
country in
are,
the world.
but I think we're in trouble because of
country in the
Biden.
world who keeps
Yes.
our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies.
Everybody trusts
And
us? That is a big
and
no.
those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc.
Okay, we don't like
They
peace
don't want
deals?
to screw around.
Yeah, jeez.
Come
Thank you.
on.
So you're
Former
right,
President Trump,
here we
to
go.
follow up, you
Trump.
would be 82 at the end of your
You want a
second
new game
term.
to try
What
out?
do you
Take
say
a
to
look at
voters who have
Hyperdrive.
concerns about
Fun
your
game, built like
capabilities
old
to serve?
school, no
Well, I took two
microtransactions.
tests, cognitive
Cool.
tests. I aced them. Both of them, as you
I
know.
aced them.
As you
made it
know.
public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one. A real
Yes.
easy one.
That's awesome.
I go
An
through
easy
the
one.
first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He
Trump's
can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged
Macs
me
and
to a
Diet
golf
Coke.
match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a
That's actually
shape
true.
as I was.
He lost weight. He did.
Years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But
His testicles are full of microplastics from McDonald's,
and you know
but
what? If
everything
I
else
didn't
is
do well,
fine.
Who's aren't, Alex?
Yeah, I know all of ours are.
Jackson
Yeah,
was
let's hear him.
a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden.
Anybody hates
According to all the information.
He just gotta wave his cock in the camera, you know, like, look at how great I am.
Oh my
Anyway, that's
goodness.
Anyway, just take a look at what he said.
It's my
What he is.
cock.
I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Oh, we're doing golf now.
Yeah, they should play golf.
Please play golf. Please play golf. Please play golf.
You can do it.
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap.
That is such a lie.
That is totally a lie.
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
That's the moment.
Don't act like children.
They're arguing over
Specific concern that voters have about you.
Of course, she has to interrupt when it's so good.
All legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Is Joe Biden going to say that?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about
True
that.
for
They talk
kittens.
about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make
first one of the night.
Here we go. MAGA.
Catchphrase. Great for the catchphrase.
Nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III.
Joe Biden cannot control the nuclear arsenal.
Kim Jong-un.
This man cannot control nuclear weapons.
Kim Jong-un of North Korea. All of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Yeah.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want.
Let Putin say, do what you want, NATO?
He's
attack
what? He can't do this.
What the fuck is he talking about?
The idea. I can't think of a single
He phrased that so well. You did throw your supporters under the bus.
What they've done.
Yeah, but he's just answering the question properly. You know, he knows normies are watching, so you know, gotta make it look good for the normies.
We're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have
about
a war,
China?
just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv.
China.
Who cares about Ukraine? I literally don't care.
Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
Cares about other people.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me.
Even then, that bare minimum is still prophetic for defense forces. Defense forces?
He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with
trench
the golden
warfare.
domes that are
People with
1,000
autism,
women. Because
Down
of
syndrome
him
people,
and
it's very
stupid
sad.
decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question
I honestly
was, will
think
you accept
Trump is the
results
only
of the
option to
election,
try to get the war to
regardless
end
of who wins, yes or no?
Putin just taking
If
what
it's
he's
a
got,
fair,
keeping it,
legal,
and then the
good
rest of
election,
Ukraine becoming maybe part of
absolutely.
NATO.
I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely. There's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that then I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to
Oh,
be
sure.
someplace
CNN
else
tells
in a
Trump
nice
to stick to the
location
question, but
someplace.
let Biden
And
water
again,
off
no
like an
indictments,
ice cream
no
truck Joe
political
by.
comment stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But
Oh,
unfortunately,
ice
it's
cream.
driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over.
See what they are tomorrow,
Oh,
bro.
dude, right now.
When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local. None.
We just hit the 90-minute mark.
You
and they haven't
continue to
taken a
provoke.
break.
Yeah, this is the wrap-up point, huh?
About somehow there's all
I
this
think they are
this
wrapping up. I think these are like the
all this
last two
stealing.
questions.
There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back
There it
with
is.
more from the CNN presidential debate live from Georgia.
Wow.
All right,
That was
so
bad.
The closing statements will likely be next. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. Talk about
I'm
wild
ready.
card.
I'm
I wanna
ready.
play- let me
Don't
pull up
forget
a
to
clip for you that
subscribe,
Greg Price had.
guys.
It's the, greatest, one of the,
When
one of the
there are
best
more
moments
debates, I'll
from the
definitely be
debate.
doing
Let me
another
grab this
stream,
here,
so subscribe.
oh, you know what? Actually, it's on mine. isn't it?
Yeah, subscribe.
Yeah, I think I
Or
already
else.
did it. Let me grab it. I don't want to spoil it, so I don't want to say it right away. I'm gonna pull it up and I'll play it for you right
Subscribe.
here.
Please subscribe.
Where's the audio on this?
Please.
The total initiative.
You'll make me
relative to what
cry.
we do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
Side of muffins?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
That's it. That's it. The golf swing one was good too. The debating over who his handicap. That's the biggest lie. A 6. What do you say? Maybe an 8.
He's like, I've seen your swing.
Yeah.
I also like that Trump has a catch. Like all good superheroes need a catchphrase, and Trump is
As
literally able to
much
drop
as
it,
I-
"We're gonna make America great again."
Why did that comment
it's
show
It's
up?
the chorus that he can effectively return to, the same way he's returning to the border over and over, and he's returning to the economy. Biden is sort of like, that guy's really bad. Can you believe whatever? Like he just falls apart at the end of sentences.
Oh,
And
she's pretty
it's
and smart.
showing the
Give her a
weakness
smooch.
of his leadership, right? Like it feels uncomfortable at times because he is so slurred. It feels like, but then also like this guy is lying.
Guys,
Dude,
don't
I was
tag her.
hoping so
Don't
much
don't send
this
her
past
that clip,
week that we were
please.
gonna get a Trump moment where he just goes, "What?" Like, because you just don't know what Biden said, but he did it way better than I ever expected.
Yeah.
I really don't know what he just said, and I don't think he does either.
Do you think there'll be a second debate after this? You think-
Oh God, no! There's not going to be a second
Supposed to be one
debate.
in September, and
There's
that's
supposed
what
to
I
be a
find
September
fascinating.
one?
If this is Joe Biden right now, even the video that Tim played in the other commercial break, like Joe Biden has a slightly raspy voice, but it's not like this, and it's not so slurred. He doesn't seem to be sitting hunched. Even in that video, he's sitting back. He's projecting confidence. I mean, he's talking about a story about, telling Ukraine they have to fire that prosecutor. So he did feel confident.
Real
It's
quick,
very different
Biden
right now.
Biden has recovered a little bit in the prediction markets. He's currently sitting at 75% to Newsom 16.
Second
as,
debate about to
for
happen
who will
mere
be the
days
Democrat
before
nominee.
World War III
And then
kicks
for
off.
the president, he's dropped 7.
When
Trump
did
is at
World War III
59. So
happen?
Biden's recovered a little bit
At that
since
time.
the worst point of this debate.
I've seen Newsom.
Thank you for 9 viewers, guys. Please subscribe to see more content.
Everyone there.
I plan on reacting to some red pill content in the next few days, because
I could see him.
I like those videos. So give a woman's perspective on them.
Give up his position, and I don't think the people, because all of these people, all of these political people, ultimately have chiefs of staff. They have.
It's
advisors,
Cold War
whatever.
II, in my
We'll
opinion.
need
I don't see a hot
that
World
body
War
to
III.
be
I agree
in
with Free
the seat at the end
Kittens.
of the day. So anyone who's supporting Biden, literally propping him up right now, they aren't going to let him drop out unless it's absolutely impossible to keep him going. I mean, they are fielding someone who seems to be getting confused with every sentence, who is actually slurring, who looks fatigued. Like it's not projecting strength, and they're still like, we're gonna see this through.
Well, the Clintons and the Obamas hate Joe Biden supposedly behind the scenes. I mean,
They're not coming out and publicly defending him very, very often, right?
Yeah.
They will when really pushed. They'll occasionally go to a fundraiser, but it does not seem to be a warm relationship at all. And again, people will point out that various people, including J.D. Vance, have been critical of Trump at times, but ultimately Trump is projecting leadership.
All right, here we go.
Oh, we're back.
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President
Coin toss, eh?
Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Trump getting the last word was brilliant, guys.
From the debacle that was left.
I don't know why the fuck Biden would choose like where to stand over like.
We find ourselves in a situation where number one.
Anyway.
We have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone
Taiwan's navy surpasses China's navy because they have good infrastructure with their navy. So, like, China literally had like tried to go into their water space, and Taiwan like obliterated them. So
has increased your
they're
taxes
fine
because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior.
This is so bad. I genuinely feel awful. Like, I feel bad for laughing. Like, he's just so old. Oh my god. It's so bad.
$60 billion over
I can't look.
Over 10 years. Exorbitant prices.
Help me, Kevin Bacon hat. Help me.
All along is
I
happening.
can't
now,
look.
And everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit.
I'm laughing because of how bad it is. Like,
make sure we do something about
he really needs to be in a home.
Lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country.
I mean, he's a bad person.
Continue to fight to bring
before
down
he had dementia.
Thank you, President Biden.
But I
President
do
Trump,
genuinely feel bad that he is demented.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this,
yeah,
we
Pepper,
want to do that,
you're right.
We want to get rid of this tax, that tax.
Links,
he
bro.
doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you. Because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
It's a much more positive.
Thank you, former President.
Yes, that was a positive
President
message.
Biden, stay with us because we have.
Stay with us. Don't pass out. Don't fall
Anderson
asleep.
Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Well, I actually would like to give a shout out and a thank you to CNN for hosting this. I think the moderators kept it chill. They stayed out of it.
Yeah.
It does seem like they did try to help Biden in some capacity. Only, not necessarily politically, but because the dude was struggling.
Yeah, he was
that being
struggling.
said,
It was bad.
Putting this debate on, Biden's numbers are tanking.
Yeah,
and I'm happy with it.
Your task code was mediocre at best, but at least it was a cut. If you get reelected, do everything to remove the estate tax. Yes. Also, put tariffs on, tax the hell out of China products, tax cuts for every factory back stateside.
If and how Joe Biden reacts in the September debate. Because this was not good.
American clothes, American furniture, it's all so
sure
expensive.
You can follow me on X.
If need be, support automation and cut the hell out of immigration then.
As well. I just want to give a shout out as the debate is wrapping up. Many people are going to start heading to bed. Become a member at timcast.com. We'll stay live for a few more minutes to...
No! Become a member to me, Saturn. At least Trump made his opposition to vaccine mandates undeniably clear. I wish he had said something against lockdowns, but I guess he was still pretending that was the right thing to do. Yeah, nobody knew what was going on when it first started anyways. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining. It was super, super fun. Obviously Trump won. I'm gonna go hunt down some TikToks of liberals reeing and malding and dilating. Maybe not dilating, that's kind of gross. But yeah, subscribe if you're new, and you can have more fun. DM me on Twitter if you want to join the server. I'm sure people are going to be talking about it on my Discord server a lot. So yeah, and that should be about it. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!